Hello.
What's up?
Hey.
Really need to sort that music out so it ends less abruptly. Every time.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't even play for me. Like, I see the video and I don't hear any of it. I don't know if it's a setting on my computer that's editing it out. I've got no idea what's going on.
No, don't worry about it. It came out the stream. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
How is everyone doing?
Not bad.
I'm doing really good. Really good. It's been a busy week, but things are going good, man.
No. Yeah, going pretty good. It's been the weather's warming up, so.
Indeed. I was just outside and I came indoors and all I could see was like blue because it's so bright outside with sun. And I'm like,
yeah,
this is the weather I like.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's interesting because like it was really hot here for a few days and there's some yard work that I've been just putting off. Like there's some trees and stuff that are super overgrown in our backyard. And yesterday it was like 58 degrees. Yeah, everyone's in Vegas. So here's the deal. This edition of Humpday Q&A is all the people who aren't cool enough to be in Vegas. So you're hanging with the losers today, but you know, we're the best lunch table to be at. So thank you for being here.
We've got Randall in the keynote, possibly feeding us any juicy Flutter tidbits that they announce. Yeah.
Mike, are you in at Next, or are you you're just hanging out with us, are you? Yeah. So how's everyone been doing? Like any Flutter stuff this week?
The only flutter that has come from the birds is I've been chopping branches off trees in my yard. Like that's literally why you haven't had live streams from me for the past few days, is because I've been out of this giant pair of like pruning things, just like chopping Jungle Jack Hanna style, trying to get as much of the stuff chopped out of my yard as I can.
Nice. I only found out the other day. So we call those secateurs here, right? That's the name given to the scissors that cut plants, right? And America, you call that pruners,
like hedge trimmer or a pruner or something.
Well, you have hedge trimmers, right? But like the specific, like the ones that you like, you know.
Yeah,
secateurs. And I was like, that's a weird name.
Yeah,
it's French or something.
Honestly, I'd be done with it by now if I could convince my wife to let me like buy a power tool to do this with, like a small chainsaw or something. I would be completely done with it, but she doesn't trust me on a ladder with a chainsaw. I do not understand why. You
need to 3D print and program an innator to get rid of the tree branches.
Yeah. Actually, okay, you joke, but in my notebook, because I have a notebook of inventions that I want to make, one of them is a lawn mowinator, and so I've got like a real lawnmower, like the ones that don't have any gas or whatever. Like I bought it when it first came.
A real mower.
Yeah, that you push. And
Yeah.
like I want to create like a remote control, and I had this idea of like just making like the entire body, enclose it in like a giant dashboard so I could have Dash mowing my front lawn.
Ah,
Yeah, it's on the list of stuff that'll probably never get done. But
oh, that'll be like we could do a whole show on that. You could like walk through that and show us Dash cutting your grass.
Did you see Michael Thompson's tweet about Vegas?
No.
I did
Hang on.
not.
Hang on.
Please share. Oh, I did see that.
Yeah.
Yes. And honestly, it is such a missed opportunity if they don't do that with the Sphere. Have either of you been to the Sphere?
Have not. No.
Oh, okay. So, was it overpriced to build? Yes. Is it a giant eyesore in Vegas? Yes. Is it one of the coolest experiences I've ever had? Also, yes. Like I saw a show in there called Postcards from Earth, and I wouldn't have paid to go to this because the seats were like $250 a piece, but work paid for this, right? And so we file into the Sphere and we watch Postcards from Earth, and it was really cool. I don't know if you've ever been on Soarin' at Walt Disney World. It's a similar experience, but perfected because Soarin' has some like distortion on the screen depending on where you sit.
Okay.
Postcards from Earth doesn't, right? And so it was one of the most coolest immersive experiences I've ever had. And like before you go in, they've got fake robots doing stuff, and it actually is super cool. So I do think that the Sphere as a giant dashboard would be incredible. But
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I have to check it out sometime we get out there. But
speaking of Disney World, just a reminder to everyone, you have like roughly a week to get your talk proposals in for FlutterCon USA. So if you haven't done that yet, make sure you do that. And while you're in Orlando, definitely check out Disney Universal. It's worth a trip if you've never been. And, what are you going to say, Simon?
I'm going to say, just you talking about going out and gardening. Have you heard of an anime called Chainsaw Man?
Yes! Oh my gosh. Simon, Chainsaw Man is my favorite anime.
Oh my god, no.
It is my
the reason why he doesn't trust you with chainsaws.
Yeah, right.
Puchita is best boy. I'm just gonna throw that out there. For those of you who don't know, Puchita is the chainsaw devil, and he and the main character. I don't want to spoil Chainsaw Man for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it's one of those rare instances where I've read.
Seen it.
You've never seen it?
No, I've never seen it. But it does remind me of like it might be like you might consider it a Wolverine on steroids, you know?
Sort of. Oh my gosh, it's worth it. It is worth watching Chainsaw Man. I liked it so well that I went back and I read the manga, and then they just released a movie, and I paid extra to see it in the special Dolby Cinema Super Experience Theater because I knew what arc this was. Again, I don't want to spoil it, but there's lots and lots of explosions. Good choices were made. That was 100% the right call.
This is making me think that it's something like Bleach with all its arcs and everything.
Something like what?
Bleach. The anime Bleach.
I hate to admit this, I've never seen Bleach.
Okay. You've seen Chainsaw Man, but you haven't seen Bleach. This is reversed.
Yeah.
It needs to be fixed.
I know. I have a friend that is trying so hard to get me into Bleach, and I haven't dug into it. No, Elijah's in chat. No chainsaw, Matthew. No, Mrs. Inator will not let me get a chainsaw. I want one. She won't let me buy one. But Chainsaw Man is so good. It goes from completely stupid to breaking your heart almost on a dime.
This kind of most animes. This is sounding like.
Yeah, it is so well written. It is so well written. I cannot overstate how good it is.
Yeah, I do think that there's a lot of animes are like people. I know some people are just like, I'm not gonna watch just cartoon, right? Like it's like, no, you can have, you can watch Into the Spider-Verse and all that kind of stuff, and that's a cartoon, but I think people miss a lot.
It's so funny because I forget when and where this was. Maybe it was when at FlutterCon Berlin, actually, when we were having dinner. But I was chatting with some folks from Japan, and they were like, "You may not realize this, but Japan has a huge animation culture." And I'm like, "I'm pretty sure Japan's huge animation culture is well known."
I'm just imagining you just like unzipping your jacket and just having Chainsaw Man like t-shirt. Like,
Yeah.
see. No. Anyway, we should do introductions. I mean, we're here chatting away. Let's do the introductions. My name's Simon Lightfoot, Flutter community leader, CTO at Dev Angels London. You can follow me on Twitter and other places at Dev Angels London. Randall's not with us today. He's at Next. Lucky person he is. Neither can Daniel make us. John, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, so John Weezy, I manage the Flutter community medium, and I have my own business as well, Hill Valley Studios, and I've got some apps that I work on out of that. And then I spend time answering questions out and about, primarily in the Flutter Discord server and a few other places. But that's me. Yeah.
And
Matthew.
Hi, I'm Matthew. I am a senior innovation engineer at a large financial institution that I can't name, but also I have a YouTube channel, actually 2 YouTube channels, Makernator and Makernator Uncut, where I build all kinds of crazy things. And definitely follow me on the YouTubes, and you'll also find me on Blue Sky.
Why not? If you do want to, we'll have. I mean, we'll see how long we can get the show going for. It's going to be. We feel like it's probably going to be a quiet show today, but since there's quite a lot of people that are at events, but if you do want to post code or anything like that, there's some things you can follow.
Don't put any URLs in your comments because no one will see them except you. So if you do need to share code with us, go over to just.new, give it a description / title up there at the top that's meaningful. Give it a file name that ends in .dart so we get lovely formatting. Enter your code either by hand or go ahead, copy paste into the format there into the field. And then once you create it, down at the very bottom, you can see that the URL that you'll get back showing your gist has a nice little hash at the end. Grab that hash and share that with us, not the entire URL, just the hash at the end, and then we can use that to go pull up your code.
Brilliant. Well, that covers the introduction piece of our show. That's it. That's the end of the show. Bye.
All right. Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Peace out.
Good to everyone. Yeah.
I mean, I think there's we try and keep that short as possible, so we don't like have every show repeat the same thing that everyone's heard before. That's a regular.
Yeah.
But I think for those people that come along new, it's really helpful to understand, how to do things, how we do the show, that kind of stuff.
You should just put,
for sure.
The do's and don'ts. We can just change to a picture of Bill and Ted that says "Be excellent to each other."
Exactly.
That's the next thing.
Actually, we should change do's and don'ts. Do be Simon, don't be Matthew. That's the do's and don'ts. Would Simon do it? Then yeah, you're probably good. Would Matthew do it? Maybe hold back.
So don't buy chainsaws.
Don't buy chainsaws.
Yeah.
Don't buy chainsaws.
Oh man, has anybody
gone through the? Question, though. Could I make a Flutter powered chainsaw? That's the.
I mean, what would be special about it? Like would it be like one of those, you have those like what they call the lawnmowers that you can like kind of set off on your lawn, the robot lawnmowers, right? Because you get like a chainsaw that you could track, have you pruned the entire, all the bits of the garden that you normally prune,
So actually that's the thing is like, I don't know how I do it for a chainsaw, but I do, again, in the sketchbook, have an idea for a Flutter powered dog bed. And it's like, what do you need a Flutter powered dog bed for? Well, the answer is that our dogs do not like getting on the scale. So when we take them to the vet, like the vet has to hold them in place. It's really difficult to monitor their weight to make sure that we're not overfeeding, underfeeding, to make sure that they're healthy, all that stuff. So if I created the Flutter powered dog bed, I could hide a scale inside of it, and then it would Bluetooth transmit the dog's weight over to the Flutter app. And then I could get like a graph showing my dog's weight over time, and I can say, ooh, it's trending upward, maybe a little bit less kibble, or something.
And you
like
just
that.
get like a Bluetooth scale and put it underneath the dog bed, and you're done. And you just offset the weight of the dog bed to 0, right? So.
Yep. Yeah. Instant Flutter powered dog bed. And then I was like, everyone is shoving an AI into it now, right? That's the thing. You have to shove an AI into everything.
That's the AI power.
Maybe, yeah, I could shove an AI into it, and then the AI could look at the data and send me push notifications like, Gladys's weight is trending upwards. You should consider like giving her fewer cookies.
Well, no, what you need to do is attach the bed weight to the automatic feeding device so that it takes less, so it gives less food. Or more food.
Oh my God, John!
That's it. Next video.
Genius.
You're
a genius. Yeah, there we go. The bed controls how much they get fed. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I could just see the dog like hacking it, like putting stuff onto the
like dragging toys on. No, that'd be the opposite, right? Because that would mean less food. So they'd be like, lay down just one paw.
Yeah. Like half the weight is off the bed, so it's only weighing her butt. You know.
Why is the dog suddenly only sleeping on half the bed? Yeah.
It would. Gladys is a very smart dog. It would not surprise me if she figured out the correlation between the dog bed and the feeding system. It really wouldn't.
Hey,
Hi.
We got a few people popping in. Mr. Verdant's out there watching. Yeah. So I've been struggling this week with lovely Apple and Google and trying to migrate my apps under the business now. And
struggle is real.
Oh yeah.
So Apple require you to get a
well, Apple, you have to convert there's a couple ways you can do it. The easy way, since I don't care about the individual account anymore, is just convert the individual account to a business account or business organization, and then everything just moves under it.
Apple needs you to do this thing where you have to get, was it like a business ID from?
Yeah, you need a DUNS number and
DUNS number. That's one. Yeah.
So I have all that because I looked at even beforehand to know what I was going to need. Google's a little bit more involved because you actually have to create a whole new developer account that's a business.
Yeah, and you have to go find your receipt, the original developer.
Right, and then you have to say, hey, I want to migrate all these apps over there, and you have to approve it on both sides. And then you run into these fun things like it tells me that one of my apps has an issue, so it won't let me move it. So, but it doesn't tell me what the issue is. So I have to like try and figure out what the problem is with the app that it doesn't like it being moved. So yeah, it's been a lovely couple days trading emails and trying to figure out what's going on.
For many years using the Google Play console, I knew where everything was and what the process was and how you would use it. I went ahead and changed the entire UI, and it's like, it's kind of like that whole sort of, you have to relearn everything and where everything was.
Yeah. Well, and then you go out and you do a search and you find an article that tells you exactly what the problem is, but every step in there is wrong because it's on the old system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our DevOps guy, every
let's be
time
honest,
he did a release for a while, would be like, where is this? And I'd be like, I don't know. I know where it used to be. I don't know.
Well, and then they do everything automated, right? So for instance, for Apple, I got to the point now this morning where they told me, okay, we're ready to go. You need to validate your business account, your business information, the organization information with us. So I went in, I gave them the DUNS number. They want a website that's publicly accessible, the name of the company, all this stuff so that they can match it. Well, they aren't smart enough to know that if you type in like www.hillvalleystudios.net, that maybe if that doesn't work, take the www off and see if that works. Or if you give them an HTTP instead of HTTPS, like to see if some variation of it works. No, they just reject it and say, oh yeah, so apparently when I set up my domain, I forgot to make sure that www works. And so if I use that, it doesn't. But if you take the www off, it works fine. So I got to go fix that now.
Oh, my favorite is we had a thing where it was like, we even put in the notes for Google. It was like, it's going to ask you to change your password. when you log in with this password. Just make it anything. We don't care. We'll reset it again.
Yeah.
And like the moment they saw the reset password screen, fail. Like they didn't even read. They didn't care. Just instant fail. Instant fail. It was so frustrating.
I was doing that similar thing with in-app purchase. They wanted because I had a remove ads button, they wanted a actual restore ads button. And I kept trying to explain to them, if you've bought it and you haven't and you reinstall, instead of saying remove ads, that button will change to say restore ads, because I know you bought it before. So I'm like, it handles it. And they're like, no, you have to have so finally I just added another button.
That's super frustrating. It's so funny because I had an experience once where I was working at a startup and I kept yelling and being like, you guys want me to fix this thing? I don't have the permissions to fix this thing. And so I'm going through similar Apple trauma right now. Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. The owner of the company, I didn't realize what he was doing, but at the end of this process, I suddenly realized I owned the company's app as far as Apple was concerned.
Oh yeah.
I was the owner. Like it was associated with my Apple ID. And I was like, no, this is not good. This is not what we want to do. No.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is if they do something dodgy in that app in the future, bam, your account's banned, right? Like, that's not a good position to be in.
I got that reversed so fast. But anyway, as you're saying, Simon.
Apple, it's not just Google though that changing their sort of admin dashboard. Is like Apple have also gone through this. Like they don't. It blows my mind that you're in App Store Connect and you can't see your team ID. There's the amount of times you need your team ID. It used to be in the drop down menu at the top underneath each team, and you could easily copy paste it. It's just like to go find it, you have to go into a complete. That's another. Why does it not link to? Was it developer.apple.com/account?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like where you have to go manage the certificates. Like, how is that not integrated in something? Like, why have we got these two disparate systems?
They have different teams working on it. That's why.
Sure, but I mean, like, just make a link.
Yeah.
So anyone else that's like building apps, unless you know about like the process you go through, like that initial onboarding journey, like the burden is on the developer to figure everything out, and it's an absolute nightmare.
It's so miserable. It is so miserable.
Not to mention like the magical rejections and like you need to do this thing. It's like, oh, thanks very much. It's like how documentation that'd be helpful.
I had one of those. Was it with Google? It was with Google last week where I found like an support article that told me exactly what you needed to do. Every link was to another support article for that one section. None of the links had the actual link to the page in the console that you had to go to make the one change you had to make.
Yeah.
I'm like, how does this work? I'm like, yeah, okay, that's what I got to do. Where's the link to go do it? No, it's a link to another article.
I'd say it's one of the things that have like really a lot about the way that the Flutter doc site work, where they've got the flutter.dev/go and then the short links.
Yep.
Those like perma short links that link you to wherever. So whenever you need to be linked to something from like an error message or something, they've got
Yep.
Yeah.
That's one of the challenges that I've had, though, whenever I've worked at a place that didn't have an app and they're trying to launch one, is getting the business side to understand this is not like a website. We can't push a button and then boom, it's there. Like there could be a 2-week approval process, and like it is, and it is insane because at my current job, we've had a couple people that have worked on apps before, and like one of our QA people was like, you don't understand. He might be actually being optimistic about that 2 week. You don't understand how badly this could go.
But with the AI stuff, the review times have got even longer right now because of everyone's just committing so much AI slop to apps and everything else.
Yeah.
I think that there's also an aspect to this which is just oh damn, well, you were just saying something and it triggered and it's gone now.
No, I think you're right, though. Like especially new submissions, right? New apps are taking longer because of the AI stuff. Like an existing app, they aren't as they aren't as worried about. It's already been there, and they know it. They can see how long it's been in the store and all that sort of stuff. But a brand new one, they don't want everybody flooding with calculator apps that use AI.
That was it. I just remember what it was. It was that, as you were saying about telling people it's not like it's not like just a mobile website. You can't just like push a new thing. It has to be. And it does kind of like you talk about these like antitrust things that are going on and whatever else. It's like we're not a monopoly. It's like yeah, you are. You literally like holding me to ransom.
You say that about the mobile and web thing, right? So past experience went through that when we acquired when Microsoft acquired the folks that were working on like the Copilot and all that stuff. They were of the mindset of web, right? So they would it was continuous deployment. They'd check something in, it would go through some testing, and boom, it would hit the website, and they're an A/B test or whatever. And so when we started telling them the process for releasing a Windows app, and they're like, wait, so you put it out today, but it doesn't actually go to the public for 6 weeks? What do you mean? It was like, yeah, see, we have to, because we can't break, and it has to go through the store, it has to go through this, it has to go through that.
This is why OTA updates on Flutter apps are.
I was about to say,
I am like,
this year.
This is why it's so huge.
I'm like this close to pulling the trigger on Shorebird and setting up my business account so I can start doing that with the app. Yeah.
I still haven't tried Shorebird. I haven't had a reason to need to do it.
I also have not messed with Shorebird, and I feel like I should mess with it. But like for my prototype stuff, it doesn't matter, and at work they're never going to approve that. But I have a great idea, John, that you just gave me. The AI-powered calculator app, right? So here's what you do. You open up the calculator app. You put 1 + 1 =. It doesn't do the calculations. It sends that math back to Gemini. Gemini does the calculation, sends it back, and then displays the answer inside the app.
And returns 5.
Yeah. And with this big
exactly
this big proof about how it got to 5. Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
That
it's a JavaScript powered LLM.
It actually would be pretty funny if you did something like that where you just randomly picked an answer that wasn't the right answer and then told Gemini that it had to come up with a proof that got you from 1 + 1 to 5. And
I reckon it'll do it.
And it just ran like you put it in, and one time it would say it equals 3, and one time it equals 7, and one time it equals 55, and every time it's got a proof that gets you there.
It reminds me of those weird like YouTube videos where people like do some like shorts or something. Someone does some crazy math, and you're like, it doesn't work like that. But in their head, no, that's how it works. So that makes sense. It's like,
Oh.
That would actually be a great video, John. Like the world's worst calculator. We have to shove AI into everything, so we're going to shove AI into a calculator and make it as bad as we possibly can.
What were you saying? What were you saying about Shorebird? You started to say something about Shorebird, and I
was just saying we should try it. And
So for me, I'm looking at it because there are times since for my main app, I rely on other data. That all my data is coming from other systems. So if they go and they change the structure of something, or they block a certain URI because it needs like a different header or something, the app will just start sending back like, either an error or something, user friendly. But for me to fix that, I could probably fix it in 30 seconds and then push an update out once they have a chance to look at it. But today I fix it. I might get the update out tonight if I'm lucky, or tomorrow, or maybe the next day.
I mean, there is.
That would be a good.
Talking about
this,
live coding, clear,
like maybe not today, but in the future.
Sorry, say again.
No, I was just gonna say that'd be a good live coding segment, is messing around with Shorebird.
Yeah, for sure.
Today, but in the future,
I think it'd be also good to show how these things also work, because I think people are a bit mystified, like it's magic, right?
Yeah.
I think there's also an aspect to this, which is this. Not downplaying what Shorebird had done, because it's specifically saying that I'm shipping Dart code over the air. But the way apps have always done this kind of remote logic thing is make things remote configurable and how configurable. So you're basically making your app into more of an engine that runs itself based on a series of configuration steps. So, i.e., you can remotely change the layout of your app, and you've always been able to do remotely rendered, UI. That's never not been a thing. And the same goes for in your case, John, you might do like some Lua script or something like that. That with the parsing, you run a really small Lua engine in there, and that's enough to fill that logic gap where you can then remote update the UI each time the app loads, and problem solved. There are other ways of tackling this, but from the aspect of a Flutter developer, obviously we want to just do Dart. We want to do that, like almost bring that hot reload to our users and say, oh, here's a bug fix, boom, you've got it now.
And then you can build in all kinds of stuff. I'm like, hey, there's an update, just restart your app and you'll have it, because it downloads in the background, and then you have to I saw Lucas popping in with GenUI. which I think we're hearing about at some point in the next keynote, if it hasn't already been talked about. So.
I actually haven't looked. I know sort of I actually haven't looked at the official GenUI stuff. I mean, this is the GenUI stuff is all about generating like UI from the app of an AI, right? Like it's reacting and building widgets based on that. The original stuff we had, I'm trying to remember what the name of the package was. It was the one by Hixie. What was the one by Hixie? Remote RFW? RFW?
Something like, I think that sounds right.
Hang on, let me have a look it up. Which is still around. RFW, I think it was. No. RWF? No, that's not it. Remote Widget Framework.
Oh, Lucas says VGV's been putting out some articles on GenUI. So,
ooh, nice.
Yeah. I think I've seen a couple pop up. I just haven't looked at them yet. They're in my list of things I need to read when I have time.
This is really going to bug me now.
I thought I'd have more of now that I've retired.
Oh, dude. No.
RFW. It was RFW.
Gig. No.
So I just need, if I get my son to get his license finally so that he can start driving himself places, then I don't have to spend all those extra hours in the car or waiting at volleyball practice or at the gym or RFW.
Yeah. So this was made by Hixie a long time ago. It's had some updates. Remote Flutter widgets, right? And this is that kind of it like all this stuff is always going to have limitations, right? This I won't sort of go into, but the idea being that you can write kind of like Dart code, and this could be, as we're saying, the remote configuration. So you could download this, or you can have AI generate this, run it through this parser, and at the end of it, you actually get a bunch of widgets that you can then just pop on the screen, right? And that's effectively what this is doing. So there's some interesting paradigms there. We actually did a very early version of this, like years and years and years ago.
Wasn't Scott working on something with this a long time ago?
Yeah, he did some AI stuff generating it before GenUI. Scott was playing around with it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if GenUI uses RFW.
Oh, yeah, that maybe I haven't looked at it enough to know.
I mean, looking at this, there's actually I just like on Pub actually. In fact, I'll bring it up on the screen. Why not? Let's do this. No, there's a RFW Gen. We've got RFW Gen Builder, RFW Gen MCP. Obviously, server-driven UI, which is same deal, using remote widgets.
Yeah.
So
there's a bunch of options out there.
Server-driven UI stack. Yeah.
A lot of options.
Right.
We actually have two questions out there.
Yeah.
Let's jump straight into it.
I can't put them on the screen, but
do you have a good rule of thumb for analytics and apps? Sorry, both code pattern and business wise.
Well, first of all, welcome back, Philip. Welcome back, Philip, because we haven't seen him in a while. I mean, it's the same as any of the others. I mean, here's the thing. First of all, it all depends on the app, right? But for the most part, you ideally want your app. I mean, in general, analytics should be. You need to determine. So there's general analytic points anyway, right? It's like browsing a web page, and you're doing analytics of the web page. You might say, oh, here's a page view, right? Or here's a button click, and these are like maybe some of your key metrics, right? So you can have your key points of KPIs, key points of interest.
Yeah, key progress indicator or something.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah. You have like your conversion metrics as well. How many people looked at like your sale page and clicked on the button to buy, and actually bought it, that kind of stuff. But I think like it's really hard at the beginning of any app or any progress to go, what analytics should I have or what should I do? Like, don't concern yourself with that. Make it work with analytics. Then you can dribble them in and change them over time, and that's how it's going to work, right? So then the thought comes in and how you implement your app, and you need to make sure that because they're sprinkled all over the place inside your app, and you might to get the parameters you need for those metrics, you might have to call on several bits of information around your app. So it does kind of very particularly mean how you want to integrate that with your state management, for example, to make sure that you've got the right points of data or whatever else. But it is a key point in when you're gathering metrics and analytics that you queue them up into a buffer and then bulk send them, because what you don't want to be doing is keeping the person's internet connection live, dribbling as they use your app, dribbling these little packets of data out. Oh, they clicked on this button, they clicked on that button, they did this, they moved the mouse there. Yeah. It not only just be a lot of bandwidth, but also it keeps their battery use, it keeps their keeps quite a lot of the device going, and especially that if on cell signal, a lot of power there as well, unnecessarily, right?
Yeah.
So I do have I have thoughts about this. Number one, and with apologies to the former Microsoft guy, don't use Azure Application Insights unless you have to. There's one guy in the audience, Elijah, who has trauma with me on this. Application Insights is terrible.
Oh, yeah.
But the benefit to the Flutter Application Insights package is that it does allow you to store up a bunch of those requests and then send them simultaneously in one go. So that's cool. But I will also say, if you're looking for what is like the bare minimum I should track your errors, make sure you include stack traces.
I would call that analytics.
Yeah, that's like Crashlytics, right?
Yeah.
Stealing from Firebase.
But yeah, generally, you need to keep track of. Yeah, sorry, interrupted.
I would just maybe we should just, instead of analytics, maybe we should just lump it all under logging. What should you log? Right.
There's an interesting thing when a crash occurs. So something that I try and do. So when you're doing crash logging, you want to know the state of the application, right? You want to know, but then it's key to know what did the user do to get the app into that state, and that's the more important bit. You don't really care that it ran out of, like, you can see how much memory they got and it ran out of memory or whatever else. That's like a key point of interest, and that's why it crashed. But how do they get to the state that it crashed? So what I tend to do is, normally when you're developing, you're sort of capturing logs, right? You're printing them out to the terminal. This is what the app's doing. It's nice to capture that in memory, and then when a crash occurs, take the last 100 lines of the log and say, boom, pop that, in the extra metadata for the crash, and you've got like, here's what they did to get to that crash point.
Yeah.
It should be super helpful. So things like Sentry and things like that. There's open packages, open source packages like Sentry that you do these kind of things. There's also Firebase Crashlytics. If you're using Firebase already, that's a good, definitely just chuck that in there. It's job. It really is the easiest way of like doing Crashlytics. And then again, as you were saying, Matt, there's analytics, and obviously there's Firebase analytics as well. So again, if you're using Firebase, then just throw it in there and you're done. There are several open source packages for analytics as well, and lots of suppliers. I mean, to be honest, it's all really about there's a lot of this. If we're honest about this, a lot of it's about privacy and about where data has been shipped as well. So if you're using a third-party provider that's all hosted for you and everything else, well, you want to look carefully into how they're using that data, because probably the data is not yours, right? They can have a copy of that data, they can use that data, they can see all sorts of information potentially about your customers, and then it's up to you to put that in your privacy policy and that kind of stuff that we use as a company for analytics. Well, you have to do that anyway, but the point is that there's a potential there. Whereas you host it yourself, and this I think we went through this before in my little chart. Maybe I'll bring it up in a minute, but you can obviously do it yourself. But now it's more administration work, there's more configuration work, there's more development work, there's more stuff there. But what you have done is now you've made it completely private, right? So it's about finding that nice balance and just picking the provider that you feel like you're going to least hit yourself in the face with, right?
It's so funny, Simon. That chart, I don't want to digress the conversation because we're talking about analytics, but that chart actually came up at work recently. And I didn't bring up the actual chart, but I like talked them through. Yeah. It was actually.
Yeah, I can give you the chart if you want to use it. I don't mind.
Yeah, actually.
We'll bring it up on
email it
stream
to me after the show. Yeah.
Let's see the chart. Show us the chart.
Lucas has a follow-up here that I thought was interesting. Regarding analytics, what I experienced lately is having a bunch of places that want, quote, some info about the app, unquote. So observability in general can get quite complicated as the app grows. Yeah. I feel you there. I don't have a good solution to that other than I've got one centralized app analytics service that everything reports back to.
Well, and Lucas actually followed it up with a comment that he said he ended up doing like an event emitting mechanism and then letting others subscribe to the event and getting the events out of the queue. So
that's actually a really good solution.
Just be careful what you wish for, because obviously if you do this kind of stuff, you can end up like using up just forever building up in memory. So you need what's called a circular buffer. So you just need to say, I can give them as a reason X number of log lines or X number of events. And that way you never kind of just keep blowing up, the memory. And I've seen people do stupid stuff.
Easy to have issues.
Here's the chart we're just talking about. I'll zoom in a bit and we can browse around it. But the idea being that you've got agility. This is the fastest moving, quickest to deliver, and everything else on the right-hand side versus configurability. This gives you the most configuration, the most options. And it's a trade-off between those 2 points, right? So it's what you manage versus what's managed by a cloud provider, what is done for you and what you have to do, right? So, you got your software as a service, right? Which is just, there's literally what everyone, that's like an end user, what they might buy, right? Like they're going to go use a AI clip generator or something, and that's the software as a service, right? You might rebrand it and sell it, I don't know, who knows what, right? Function as a service, we want to like cloud functions and that side of it. So you're just really doing your data, your function, your business logic. The rest of everything's handled for you. And then you've kind of got that platform as a service. So again, data and application, but they host a runtime. So this is, again, lots of cloud providers have this, but it's not a function driven. You can do a lot more than that. It's more like delivering entire applications, the server-side applications, but using a particular runtime. I'm trying to think of the one. I'm trying to think of some of them, and I can't think of any right now. It's really going to bug me. I can't. Sorry.
Were you talking about
platform as a service?
Platform as a service. Yeah. Okay. So that's the one that came up at work because Azure has a application service that you can just take your C#.NET app and throw it up.
Yeah, you build it against their like Azure you build it against their specific Azure libraries, and that So this is that they give you the runtime and to work with it, the entire stack and whatever else you need, and where you go. Container as a service is the best middle ground in a lot of cases, because, for example, you can do your Dart server-side stuff, and you've got your Dart runtime environment and your application and your data, and then now you've got Dart running on the server, right? So this is container as a service, and then you're going to go down as infrastructure service. So now you're managing the potential container technology and the operating system and all that kind of stuff, but you don't have to manage the virtualization. So this is about like get a virtual server somewhere, and you've got to do everything else on top of that, updates and operating system updates and all, and then finally on-premises, like the entire stack, that is yours to manage, right? That's your own equipment, your own everything, right? So
what's interesting about the scale is that I wouldn't say it's more or less expensive. It is where your costs are going. That's the thing that I learned. Like you would think, oh, platform as a service, that can actually get very expensive very quickly. But instead of buying switches and infrastructure and overhead, like you're just paying someone else to abstract all that away from you. So it really comes down to more of a business case of what are you trying to do with the app and what are you trying to accomplish and what's going to be that trade-off for you than it does actually a cost thing. Because in my opinion, there's pro and con at every level of that scale.
Yep. Used to have those discussions all the time when Azure was first getting started, and we were out there talking with people about what they can do, what they can't, and what the trade-offs are, and what makes sense and what doesn't.
I know I was dogging on Microsoft earlier, but the platform as a service is actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely good. I mean, I use it for a bunch of my hosting, for web app hosting, and I've got a couple of back-end services and stuff I host out there for different apps and things. But yeah, there are some things that I just I always uncheck I don't need app insights.
Yeah.
It's like when you set up a new cloud Firebase cloud project, you need if you don't want analytics, you need to untick that, right?
Yep.
All right, well, we've got a complete off topic here. Let's see what next question we've got in the queue. Oh no, we did that one.
That was one we did. Yep. All right. So, what are some measures they should consider in their app before concluding it's ready for deployment?
Depends. Are you working at a startup? Because the answer is, does it run?
Yeah.
Even then, you can still launch it.
Yeah.
Does it mostly run? That's the question, right?
I was gonna say, like there's things that an app should have at the very beginning that every app needs, right? So as we just said, crash analytics, that kind of thing. You need those. Even if they're basic, you need something, right? Now, just need to know how many people open your app up, like really basic stuff like that, right? And I'd say you also need a remote config system, so you can shut down your app remotely. So this comes back to, now imagine you've got your app running and suddenly your server's getting smashed and you don't know why. You need to take the server offline to sort it out. Your app just suddenly starts throwing errors because there's no way of telling the users, we're in maintenance, something's gone wrong, the technical problem, whatever else like that. So remote config system, which lets you do two things. One, go into throw what's called a kill switch, which puts the app into its maintenance mode and just says, sorry, come back later, whatever it is you want to put on there. And the other one is to have forced upgrades, right? So you might make a change on your server side that's not compatible with existing apps that are out there. And it's just, so let's say that's sometimes, to make everything backwards and compatible all the time, you're going to run into a nightmare. So sometimes you have to say, no, we need to make this happen, we need to force upgrade. So the way you do that is, again, you can put in your remote config, the user needs to force upgrade to this version. You check the current version of the app that's running, and if it's different, it's less than or that the one that's out there, then you show them a box saying, to continue, you need to go to the store, and you link them to the Android or Apple store, depending on what device they're on. So they're I'd say like the major things. What your app does after that, that's up to you. But when it's ready for deployment, is when it does the minimum viable product, whatever that is for your app, right?
Well, and that's the key, right? Is you have to have that kind of defined, so that you don't get scope creep and all that of like, oh, well, no, we can't release until we add this. And then all of a sudden there's another one and another thing and another thing. So you want to have kind of this is what we're aiming for the first release. Anything else can go in the next release, right? So you're gonna kind of have to have that decided, I think, for the most part up front.
I cannot overstate, to Simon's point, how important having forced upgrades is. Oh my gosh, that has saved my butt a number of times.
Can I also say that just that point of like having minimum viable product specking, this technique is completely underrated. A lot of people, I mean, have you guys used Moscow before?
All
right. Well, no. you might have, but you might not realize. So this is must have, should have, could have, won't have.
Oh yeah.
So it's the acronym derives these things. It basically says, think about your features. Is this a must-have feature you need? Is this a should-have feature? In a deal world, we should have this. Could have, or we could have this, and then won't have is like there's no way this is going in the MVP, right? So break your features down, label them as in one of these categories, and this literally gives you your priority order in which you should deliver those features. You do your must-haves, then you do your should-haves, then you do your could-haves, and you do your won't-haves. Now that means as soon as that must-have is done, you could say your product's now viable and you can deploy it, right? Because it's got all the must-haves.
Yeah.
Then you could say, okay, well, I'm winning. I've got more time now before we deploy, or we got a bit more funding, whatever it is. Okay, we can do the should-haves, we can do the good-haves, and this will change, right? You have to keep that list up to date, right? But each time you come up with a new feature or change, puts in one of those categories, and now you've got your prioritized list of what you need to deliver on.
I love that. The one thing I would add to that actually would be if you're lucky and people are actually using your app after you launch it, which I do consider to not necessarily be a given thing. If you're lucky, your users will complain. I'm not even kidding. They will complain and say, I want the app to do this. And then you can use that information to kind of reevaluate where on your must-have, should-haves, whatever that you want to put stuff. So,
yeah, they will. As we always say, users will do things that you didn't expect them to do with your app. So they will come up with features that you didn't even think of that are, sometimes worthwhile and sometimes, I don't think so.
It's like, I use your app to do this. Why doesn't it do this thing it should be doing? It's like, it's never designed for that.
Yeah.
All right. Should we go for let's crack on?
Do you know of a way to catch errors for different scoped Flutter views on web? And then there was a second part to that. Yeah, it's right after it. Platform dispatcher is only valid for I/O platforms, and run zone guarded cannot be scoped for a single widget tree.
Well, you do. Let's have a think about this for a second. So you're saying that you've got different Flutter views on web. This is the new multi-view thing, though, isn't it? Because this isn't using your normal. This is not like you've got multiple iframes. This is you've got multiple embedded widgets in your page. I haven't really had much experience with this, which is kind of interesting. The view of, you can scope it to the view hierarchy of the tree, right? Like you have one hierarchy. It's essentially one set of code that's running. You're trying to scope. What you're trying to scope here, you're trying to catch errors on different scoped Flutter views. See, the thing is, in that situation, what you're saying is, I've got one code base that's running and two different viewports. So it's up to you to really say, okay, wrap this part of the tree in a widget that, when errors occur, they're going to find that widget, and you're scoping it, your error reporting to your view hierarchy. Then this obviously means that you can't have a shared component. So you can't have like a shared repository that both Flutter views use, because if an error occurs in there, well, which one did it go? Which one was it for? And I think in that situation, you can do that still, but then now what you need to do is essentially track your starting view. So in this sense, that whenever you start some background processes or you're calling it something in the back end of your app, you do it with that sort of a messaging event-based system where you can attach effectively the base error captured at the point that it was initiated from the UI. So imagine you tap on a button, you capture from the hierarchy scope the current view or the base widget that has your error function, right, that reports errors, and then say, okay, now pass that to the back end. And if there's an error during this processing, use that error function / class to report your error. I don't think I can't think, as you said, like as Verdi was saying here, there's run zone guarded. It's not scoped to a widget tree because it's all the code that's running in that zone.
So you did say yes, using multi-view mode, and they're using Flutter-based components within web frameworks. So there could be multiple views mounted in the same page. So yeah,
it's what I was saying. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting one because essentially the way that's posed is it's one application,
right?
That's running. So then you don't have one sort of system. I mean, if there's an error in building the widget tree, yes, that goes up to your error widget. That's actually a global singleton always. I don't know if that's actually ever been adjusted for multiple views. These are quite interesting. I would actually make an issue ticket on Flutter on the Flutter GitHub repository, because these are things that they need to hear about when going into multi-view and what the potential issues are. Yeah, sadly, I don't think you could do a. I suppose you could. The zone thing is quite a nice way of dealing with it, but you're saying it can be scoped to a single widget tree. Yeah. So here's the thing: you can do a nice little thing when you call into. You'd have to do like an interface now for whenever you're going and calling into something that's not part of the widget tree. So calling into that backend code, if it's shared amongst two. So let's say you've got a repository shared between two Flutter views. Then when you call into that backend, if you do run zone guarded, you could specify in the zone a custom, metadata key value store it's got. You can actually say, okay, this is the error handler, and then you don't have to pass variables around. And then whenever an error occurs, you go, oh, does the current zone have an error handler? I'll use that instead. But obviously, there's a point that you're having to do that in your code, right? So you need a separation point between the layers. So. Yeah, sorry, it's probably not a great answer, but
I have done almost zero work with the Flutter multi-view thing, and it's something that I'm interested in. Like, I thought my current project was going to need it, then I took a different direction. But just passing data between views gave me a headache, and I was like, let's find a different solution.
I have to say, coming from the Windows developer background, having multiple windows and multiple view hierarchies and things like that, having the way that Flutter does it for multi-window is that you've got one widget hierarchy that has windows in it, and those windows have their hierarchies in it. So if you want to remove a window, well, you just rebuild your UI without that window on there, boom, the window's gone. So it is literally taking that kind of reactive UI to multi-window. It's a super unique. I've never, seen it done anywhere else before. I don't know if it's the first time it's been done, but it is definitely a really intriguing way of doing it. I think, honestly, I feel like it's a cleaner, more coherent way of delivering that kind of experience. But again, in that situation, you would have the same problems where when it's the idea, the whole reason for doing that is that you have one bit of code that you can share between multiple windows without having to think about how they're loaded or how they're working, right? Like the UI is just the UI. Yeah. Anyway, anything you guys want to add to that, or should we move on?
No, we can move on. I'm using test-driven development for AI-assisted development. Any tips on how to test runtime errors for AI to catch them?
Well, first off, we do have the AI show on Mondays, so definitely check that out.
Yeah.
They might be able to give you a different answer than what we can. That's interesting, because I will say I have been using IntelliJ with the JetBrains AI, and there have been a few times where it started running the app to test for runtime errors, and I'm like, whoa, 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 I don't believe I gave you permission to do that. Any tips?
I mean,
test runtime errors for AI.
Runtime errors for AI to catch them. Oh, you mean so what you want to output the runtime errors and have the AI catch them?
Or are you talking about having AI generate the test? Yeah. Are you talking about having the AI write the test first for like the red green refactor? So AI writes the test, it goes bad, and then it switches over. Like if you're using Claude Code, you can do that as a skill.
Yeah, I was going to say, but the other thing is, normally you run the tests with you run the test through the AI, and the AI sees the output of the test and can go, okay, there's a runtime error here. What's the problem? Here's the code I need to fix, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, maybe you can reword your question if we haven't answered it.
I guess my number one thing is start looking at skills. I didn't realize how powerful they were until very, very recently when a coworker of mine was like, hey, check this out. And I was like, holy smokes. So I think a skill might be able to get you, and that's from a Cloud Code perspective. I don't know what IDE you're using. If it's Cursor, they have their own version of skills. If it's JetBrains, they have their own thing.
So
but
JetBrains actually has a built-in MCP server that IDE does now. And
sweet.
You can add it to whatever AI that you're using, and then it can do things like, search files, add files, open up the terminal, do all the actions that you have in your IDE can the AI can then do, which is super helpful. All right.
I think we got one more. All right, so Texter wants to build a tool for developers to migrate a Flutter app from provider to RiverPod using an intermediate representation, and wants to know if it's possible to build such a tool.
I mean, it's all anything possible.
Yeah, yeah.
I think perhaps. I don't know. I feel like honestly, RiverPod has kind of like fallen short recently, so I feel like you might want to go provider to Signals. but I do whatever you want. It's fine. I would say that literally just pose this question into AI like Claude Code running Opus model or something like that, and you're going to get the entire thing done for you at the end of it. These are the kind of the tasks that really AI can excel at. And then it's giving that base structure that you can then build upon and do. But yeah, like an intermediate representation idea is great. I mean, normally what you do, there's forgive me, there's a model of doing development, and I've got the name of it. So it's like, let's say you're trying to build an expression engine, then you basically as you read in whatever you're trying to pass, let's just say it's a mathematical equation or something, right? You can build up your expression class objects into a pipeline, and then you put the data through it, and you get your output, right? It's very much like that kind of stream level development, and this is kind of what you can do with this kind of pattern, where you would analyze the code that's already there using the Dart analysis tools and everything else that's going on the Dart analyzer. And the output of that is your own abstract syntax tree, and that represents your intermediate representation. And then you build an outputter, which essentially takes that syntax tree and then outputs what it would be in RiverPod. I think you're asking. I mean, you can do it. It's done all the time. This is how source code is compiled, right? I feel like it's not going to be as productive as you maybe think. Most people are just going to go, "Hey, Steph, welcome to the show."
Hi.
Hey.
I think in this situation, most people right now are not going to look for a particular tool to do that. They're just going to ask the AI to do it. It's going to be more versatile, and it's going to work with all the edge cases that you did not think of and to put into your thing. So I'm not trying to blow down your idea. I'm just trying to say, put your if it's just a learning experience, go for it, right? But put your effort into the right thing, right?
Yeah.
The edge cases is exactly where I was about to go, Simon, because people do this. Okay, this is going to come as a surprise to everyone who's both in the audience and on the show. People will sometimes do weird stuff with their code. I know that might come as a surprise. Sometimes people do weird things that maybe not always, but a smidgen counterintuitive, right?
Never.
And if you're trying to create a tool, I know it rarely happens. It's not something any of us has ever seen in our careers, but it's a thing, right? And if your code is trying to judge all of those edge cases, I think that you are in for a world of misery. But as Simon said, like, I wouldn't look for a tool to do this. If I was, and I have been trying to convert a Flutter app from RiverPod to Signals, for example, I would use an AI to do it. And I wouldn't even just do one prompt it. I would not one prompt it at all. I would be like, convert this specific provider over from, or this specific service or this specific controller over from RiverPod to Signals. And then just, figure out from there what that looked like and make sure that it was doing it right, and then do it a piece at a time because, to keep from overloading the context window. So I think to Simon's point, I agree. You can probably do it. If it sounds like something fun that you want to learn to do it. I don't think. I think AI is better suited for this. Legitimately,
You might just thinking about it, and based off of what Matt was just saying. So what has been done? So what Rody did in the past for Signals, so solving the exact same problem of people migrating to Signals, is he built an AI integration, right? So he built some LLM system prompt, right, that you can add to your Gemini CLI or Firebase or whatever it is. He'll give you some examples here. You provide the extra context, and this context literally goes into how Signals works and gives all the examples. I think in here actually has, does he have Riverpod? I think it has provider, I think. Yeah, here, Riverpod and provider. And it gives that kind of like this kind of example of giving the AI the context that it needs to do that conversion for you.
So in that case, then maybe the direction of the project would be better to look at what they did for Signals, and if you really wanted to create something to convert from provider to Riverpod, create a what's the word for it? Create a document like that. There's an actual word for it that's not document.
I mean, I call it system prompt, right?
Yeah. System prompt. There we go. Create a system prompt for it.
Context.
That would.
AI.
Yeah.
Sorry about that abrupt departure. My Ethernet failed, so I'm on Wi-Fi. So if it gets spotty, I can hang up. I wanted to add something. I don't know if it was said, because trying to get back online. What you were talking about, Matt, about don't just do a one and done prompt with AI. The first thing you should do, and okay, I'm putting my FCAIC hat on, is have it lay out a plan first. Don't just have it start coding, and make sure when you're doing your prompts to tell it you're going to be looking at good, bad, and ugly, and you don't want any bad or ugly, and make sure that its plan and code meet that criteria. Okay, I contributed to Humpday for one.
No, that's good. That's
I
really
could actually do something.
I hate to admit it, Steph. It took me way too long to start using planning mode, and my results got way better.
Don't disagree. I normally I was like dive in, do all that, but I converted my WordPress blog from WordPress to Dart and Jasper, and I started exactly with the plan. And yeah, the code is still garbage in some spots, so it has to be cleaned up. I know, Simon. But
no. I was going to say your video keeps dropping out, and it may be worth rebooting.
Okay, I'm still here. I'm still here.
Rebooting and coming back on Ethernet.
So
let me try it. I'll be back.
Okay. This is making me think of a secret that I am ashamed of, and I'm going to admit it to everyone here on stream. I just
there you go.
Now we'll never know what his secret was.
I just relaunched makerinator.com and I did not use Jasper. It's still Hugo.
It's still what?
Hugo. It's a Hugo site because
that's
a generator.
That's not so bad. Like, there's a lot worse. If you'd said it was like, Perl,
if you were going to say it was WordPress, we'd be having a talk.
I wrote it in Fortran using an AI. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Randall's not here. We can all dog on Perl. Oh my gosh. Everyone get it out of your system quick. Perl sucks. No, I'm kidding.
He'd be the first to say he would not be going for Perl for the first time for doing things now, right? I think there's also what was I looking at the other day? It was something about COBOL developers, like someone saying I had like a week of COBOL experience, and I've now got all these companies coming after me, like trying to get me on board to be their developer or whatever, because no one's out there doing it.
Yeah,
I have a strange feeling that maybe those days are behind us, with AI. That
maybe. You're going back to something that we were talking about just a minute ago with using planning mode, right? We talked about this, I don't know, a show or two ago about AI and it's very simple, very easy and quick for people to just put in a prompt and let it go off and do the coding and not bother to look at what it did and just simply run the app and go, oh yeah, it worked. Okay, great. And
Yeah,
later on have an
your
issue and yeah, right. But
yeah.
using planning mode not only helps you to learn, but also ensures that it did what you wanted it to do after you read through it.
That's exactly what I did when I was doing the conversion, because there were things I didn't know and I learned. And yes, I spent a lot of money doing it because I was up against a deadline. And I had to read it, review it, and I learned as I went.
Yeah.
And we're definitely having some internet issues. So I'll be back again.
I think you're okay at the moment.
Yeah, you're okay at the moment.
Daughter's in the next room. Daughter's in the next room,
Oh.
and she's in an important work meeting, and I don't know if this is messing her up. So I'm going to hang up. I'll be back.
Okay.
Really?
You're going to regret inviting me.
I think we missed a question. I just found it in there.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we can talk about that one, sort of, little. For AR or VR, can you suggest how to implement in Flutter using a package or platform methods?
Well, I mean, there are packages like almost first-party package out there on pub.dev for was it AR Core? AR Core or something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Core AI. Core AR Core.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
AI_core. Yeah. Oh, that's 4 years old now. Blimey.
Yeah, it's old. Yeah.
I actually don't know what the most recent libraries are for it, actually saying that.
Yeah.
So look.
Someone needs to make a
that's it. Sorry, ARKit_plugin. Yeah, that one. So that's the ARKit stuff for iOS, giving you that. But a lot of all this stuff does, if you actually go look, is it's all, and there's also an AR code. I'll put these in the chat actually, so that everyone's got them.
There's an AR Core Flutter plugin that looks like it's.
I'll bring up on the screen, Nick.
So old, yeah.
It's got ARKit, and then there's also AR Core Flutter plugin. But they've got a more, yeah. So this is still pretty old. That would be DeFranco, isn't it? Wait a minute, that was AR Core one. What's this one? 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot.
I mean, the thing is,
surrounding
DeFranco is actually then you might see if you can hunt him down. He's a CETO. It's a South American developer agency doing Flutter. I've forgotten the name. Somnio Software. DeFranco, I think it's him. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, if there's not one out there at the moment, you could just go.
Scroll down. There was an AR Flutter plugin plus, so we must have taken that one over, and it was 2 months ago.
No, this is what happened after we did the plus plugins. Everyone started doing this.
Oh, got it. Okay. Well,
but here you go. Someone's actually Zinitech, whoever that is, has published an updated version.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Like you have to go look at what these packages are doing, but in essence. There is documentation on the Flutter website on how you integrate native platform views. And this comes from the second part of your question. What is the platform method for doing so? There's particularly, if you go to the docs, let me just hide that so we can see. If you go to the docs, there's creating plugins, or is it platform integrations, supporting platforms. No, what am I talking about? Writing platform-specific code. So this talks about how this works. And you can also go look at the existing packages to understand how they work. But obviously, whenever you do any native platform code, you're writing native platform code, right? So you're going to, if you're talking about like how you integrate platform using a native method, great, you can do that. That's how all the plugins work. But now what you've just realized, what you have to realize is now you're writing Android specific code and you're writing iOS specific code, right? As well as your Flutter code.
Yeah.
It may not be that much. It all depends on what you're trying to do. I don't know. But I would go look at what's there at the moment. And then if you want to like the most recent the most recent like library packages and whatever else, you could do what those people are doing. Fork the repo if it's licensed appropriately, fork the repo into your own, update the things you want to update and use that, include that, using a Git reference to your app or whatever else, and away you go. So, but there is like, there's code on here about how you do, how to do your own package and plugins. And this is essentially what it comes down to. And so there's lots of, it's these two sections here, platform integration and package and plugins, that will give you the bits you need to understand. There is actually a tutorial somewhere on here, which I can't find obviously when I need it.
Oh yeah, isn't there there's a code lab on building a package, I think, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Like there was, oh, here you go. Maybe is this the one? You create your package. Yeah, and then you do your federation, and then it talks about how you do your platform specific code. I think. Wow.
I feel like so much of the energy around AR and VR has kind of subsided because of AI, and that's unfortunate because it is.
That's interesting. Yeah, you're saying that. That's,
yeah. It looks though, based upon the state of the packages out there, that going just to a platform channel and doing your own thing is going to probably be the best bet, which is unfortunate. But if you create a really good package that can do AR, VR, whatever, please release it so the rest of us can use it. Because I would like to create my own version of Pokemon Go where you run around and catch dashbirds. I think that would be really fun to do at a convention. And then you have to find other people and trade dashes to get like a full dash dex. That would be
nice.
I'm not sure. So just kind of, sorry, I'm just going off on a tangent here. The Flutter web multi-view stuff, I'm not sure what the where the documentation is for that at the moment. Multiple Flutters.
You get a dash and you get a dash.
Oh, we got another question.
Everybody gets a dash.
Yeah. So using isolate.spawn to find image or a video file on an external drive, they're having a hard time understanding how the receive port is defined and handles the output from the isolate. Are there any good examples?
Okay. We can talk through it. I'm not sure I mean, there is some Dart documentation on isolates, which goes through a bit of this. I'm not sure what I can say that isn't documented. I mean, we can go through and explain it. Maybe that can help you, think about it, how it works. I'm not sure this is a good example, but let me load this up and then bear with. Oh, this is the chat. Oh, there is an ARKit plugin. There you go.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's the one we were looking at earlier.
Yeah. So, for those that don't know, isolates are, think of them as isolated memory with code running in it, right? Like you can isolate and have a separate multiple threads going, but multi-thread itself has its own set of problems, which is called synchronization. So that how memory synchronizes between multiple threads. So instead, what you do is you send messages back and forth, right? So this is a way of having two threads with their own set of memory that look at, and then to communicate data back and forth, you have to send messages. And these messages go over what's called a send port and receive port, right? It looks like there's a send and receive example. Oh, that's super helpful. I think there's actually a bit down here. Receive port, send port, yeah. Together with send port, the only means of communication between isolates. Receive ports have a send port getter, which returns the send port to any message that is sent through the send port. So I think the way you normally do this is you create your receive port, you then send the sender port through the isolate to the foreign isolate, right? Then it can then use that to communicate back. There is actually, I think that we should look at probably the compute implementation, which is the standard, like the default function. I think it does all this for you. But there's this weird thing that what happens is imagine you've got two isolates, one starts the other one, and it creates a receive port, so it can receive data from the foreign isolate it's creating. It sends the send port over to the foreign one. The foreign one then you can use that send port to send data back to the previous one. And then it creates a receive port and sends its send port back. So now both sides have each a receive and a send port each for the other side of the pipe, if that makes sense.
I just dropped a link in the private chat, Simon, that you might want to pull.
Is there a graphic picture of this?
Yeah, and it's right from the docs on isolates.
Is that the page I'm on right now? Is that not?
No.
Yeah, that's the page I'm on right.
Are you on the Dart Dev?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there. Yeah. So it wasn't when you're on.
Yeah. But it's nice in the graphic because I didn't know there was a graphic for it. But there you go. So yeah, create a receive port, isolate spawn. It creates a receive. It creates a receive port and sends it back, and now you've got two send and receive. You've got a send and receive port on either side. So the receive on this side, send for the other one. Receive on that side, send on the other one, or whatever. It's super not. Yeah, you create receive port on the main isolate. Send port is created automatically. Spawn isolate worker. Pass the send port as the first message to the worker isolate. Create another receive port in the worker isolate. Pass the worker isolate. Send port to the first message back to the main isolate. That's literally what I just explained, but in better words. Yeah. So it's this picture here. It's this kind of little dance that you have to go through, and it's a way of getting both sides to know about each other and communicate. If you use some of the, I think it's computer stuff, you don't basically have to do anything like that. But I'm guessing in your situation, I've forgotten where the original question was, that you're going to end up having to.
They were searching for files on an external drive.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like you want to send back each time you find something, you want to send that back, right? So it's exactly what we just spoke about. It's not. Yes. Hopefully that helps. Follow the steps and wish you well. I think there's linked examples, right, from this page. It does explain everything. I don't know if they actually. I'm pretty sure they have an example of it somewhere. Yeah, I mean, you can see here. Right, they're using raw receive port. I don't know why. You can read up about that, but create a receive port, and then as the initial port, then the initial message that comes in, you treat as the send port to send data back, and get the receive port from the initial port. Yeah, so this is essentially doing the same thing, and then it's sending the send port as the initial message over to the handler. Yeah. There is a pub.dev isolates package. I'm not sure if it still exists, but they had a bunch of stuff that kind of 5 years ago, fork of isolates. I mean, there are
for more reference. He said it's batches of 50 files. One of his drives had 20,000 plus images and video files. Took about 8 hours to search and display results. So he's basically looking at batching up results, so he's not waiting for it to finish.
Create yourself an index, my friend. That's what you need. I swear there was some like isolate. I don't think it was worker. Was it worker manager? I mean, there's several wrappers around this process, right. Which basically the idea being that no, I'm not finding it right now. But generally speaking, like to simplify that process. But it's once you get your head around it, it makes sense. I think it's the naming that doesn't help. It's the same as like when you talk about Matthew probably know this, but when you talk about serial communication, you each have a send and transmit. So you have a transmit and a receive, basically. And of course, they're flipped, right? Because the receive on one side is the transmit on the other, and the transmit on this side is the receive on the other, right? Which gets, you have to remember that that is flipped, and it's they actually have when you're doing hardware, they do MISO, master in, slave out.
Yeah.
So you know the order, because that's kind of a better way of understanding in which direction the communication is going. Sorry, Matthew, go on.
No, go ahead. I just want to say, never have I ever connected the receive to the receive and the send to the send. It's just not something I've ever done. Just to be very clear.
Yeah.
But
Never done it.
Looping back to the AR conversation real quick. AR Flutter plugin 2 might be worth looking at. So there was someone who forked the AR Flutter plugin. That's the one that hadn't been updated for 4 years. And I was looking through the issues on GitHub, and as you can imagine, it's insane.
There's only a couple.
Yeah. So it's called AR Flutter plugin 2. I believe I put a link to it in the private chat. I could be wrong. And basically they just forked the original AR Flutter plugin and did some updates to it. Now, it hasn't been updated in 13 months, but there's a possibility that it might still work. It might get you closer to what you need.
I'm going to say that actually sounds quite reasonable compared to the others, where you compare how long it's been.
3 years.
Is quite recent. You can also go to their GitHub repository, right, and then see if how active they are. So still 13 months, But you can always, again, you can always fork it, right, at the end of the day, and update it yourself. But that sounds actually quite reasonable.
If you wanted to be the author of AR Flutter plugin 3, that is something you could do.
Well, this is a nice visualization of the architecture.
Yeah.
Hang on, so I can get that bigger. So this is kind of like pretty much how most applications work when you have plugins, right? So you got your widget tree with your view that is linked to what's called a native platform view. So this is the real AR platform view running inside of Android or iOS or whatever. You get your business logic running your app, which can change the configuration of whatever is going on inside the plugin. So in this case, you've got anchor manager, object manager, location manager, these things here. And then, so they've made a cross-platform sort of layout, and then that cross-platform now goes into the platform-specific layout for AR Core, AR Kit, whatever it is, iOS or Android. That's it's a really nice diagram.
I love the documentation, but you know how I am about documentation. That is fantastic. Wow.
I would argue stuff in the world of AI, documentation is more important than ever.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love that, like, if I'm looking at somebody else's code and I'm having trouble following it or anything, I'm like, document or create mermaid diagram, so then I'm able to do the flow. And I did that with the conversion that I did, because I was doing not just straight Jasper. I was creating a whole new flexible layout, and it definitely needed to be documented and still cleaned up, which is why it's not doing much sharing yet.
Yeah.
Some documentation is better than no documentation, always.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Always.
Yep.
Right. Well,
we're out of questions.
Does anyone want to see any coding? I don't know. We could do something, I guess. Is there anything that we were talking about before?
I have about another half hour before I have to hop out.
Yeah,
our
Good.
work stuff.
And we've all got that. So
yeah,
we could end early. There's the other option if there's no one wants to continue the conversation.
I don't think we. Somebody. Oh, Lucas is saying let's do a Q demo.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Q. I
We
also
talked about this before.
see this other one. Let me see if I can find it. I saw a different package.
We have a follow-up. Q, follow-up to my question. Simon mentioned an index.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hang on.
Sure.
So one way is as 20,000 plus images, and it took about 8 hours to search and display results. Well, yeah, if each time you're searching, if you're basically scanning through 20,000 images and files, it's going to take a consistent amount of time to scan 20,000 images and files. So what you do is you create an index, and that index can tell you exactly what file, maybe what metadata, what size, whatever it is the search parameters are. And that way, whenever you do a search, guess what? Now you've got a simple way of and quick and
perhaps
data. This is literally how all databases work.
Yep, but they may not understand how to create an index. Can you discuss that?
Well, we'd have to know the operating system probably and some other things.
I mean, it all depends. I was going to say, Michael, what are your search parameters? That's why it's first fast. What are you? You're talking about searching. In what way are you searching? By name, right? By name or like file size or image size and things like that. Because that way, when you pass through, you only have to pass them once. To get that metadata, and then you store that metadata. Now you can store that. I mean, to be honest, it's depends on how much memory you're looking at, but to be honest, it's not that many. So you could actually just store all of that in a, well, there's multiple ways of doing this, but you might as well just use SQLite, right? And that's what I would probably do.
SQL.
I mean, SQLite is nice because you just get a single file at the end of it, which is your database that already supports indexing. It has that sort of support, and then you can query over it in no matter whatever ways you want to, right?
Well, I was thinking
it was more about. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I was going down the path of like, is this on a specific operating system, right? Because like if you have a drive in, say, Windows, it's automatically building an index. And if you're only running the app on Windows, you could take advantage of that index by calling native APIs to do the search or something for you, as opposed to, walking the tree yourself. So that's where, knowing a little bit more about this scenario might help.
Yeah, it always has to be done the first time. But I think that the key here is to understand, and it's the way most things work, you do diffing, right? So you want to understand that whenever let's say you're adding and removing stuff, you need to know that, you only have to reindex what's changed and not everything all over again. But yeah, you obviously have to do it once. I'm surprised it takes so long though, to be honest. 8 hours, I mean, 20,000 plus,
yeah,
in 8 hours seems an incredibly long amount of time to do that. So, obviously, I don't know how image and video. There's a certain amount of processing that you have to do, right? But there's short tricks, there's simple tricks. In fact, now I forget what it is. Like for example, the IMG library in Dart actually has a trick where you can just load the size of an image without decoding the entire image, right? So you can load the metadata of an image without decoding the entire image. And these are things that obviously make it a lot quicker because, well, you're doing less work. Videos, on the other hand, is a very similar thing. But of course, videos have a slightly more complex behavior because videos have intermediate frames and sync frames, right? So that's like on a scene change, the whole screen change, that's a sync frame. And any slight changes, like right now when we're talking, my hands are moving. That's the only bit of data that's being sent over the wire, encoded and sent to you. So based on a difference between this frame and the last one, this is simple compression, right? Why send the data that you've already got, right? But this does mean that if you're trying to scrub through a video, you actually have to decode all of the frames to get to that frame that you're on from the previous sync frame. There's a name for this, IMP frames or something like that. I can't remember what it is. But again, this is just the underlying mechanism that's behind it, right? But that's why getting a thumbnail from a video is not as simple as just like decoding an image, right? Also, each of the codecs have their own, each of the different video codecs have their own performance hits, and it also depends on your hardware. And if you're taking advantage of using all software based on your CPU, or if you're taking advantage of image decoders and video decoders in your hardware as to the performance. But again, this is going way out there, right? Like if it's a one-off app that you're doing, who cares? You know, just bite the 8 hours. But I think the case here is maybe if I was you, I would be doing a small sample set as you're developing, like 50 images until you get it how you want. And then once you're happy that you've got the index the way you want, then you can say, okay, now run for everything, right?
I don't know. The more we talk about this, the more I'm coming back to John's point, which this feels like a problem that the operating system has probably already solved. Is there a hook inside the operating system that I can just grab onto using?
Again, it's the same. It comes to the same thing. It depends on what's indexed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And also, as you said, external drive, it may not even have it turned on. It's only done on the drive level. So, you know, you can turn it on and let it index, and then once, you know, or do that kind of thing. And once it's indexed, use the APIs to do it. And, I mean, it all depends on what you're actually trying to do. So,
it also matters if it's a direct connect to the external drive, or if it's over a network connection or something like that too, because there could be other things in between the two devices.
That's actually a good point. Sorry, that I didn't mention that. You said you got an external drive. Make sure it's in a USB like 3 USB-C connection where you've got high bandwidth. If you're trying to do this search of many gigabytes of data at a 1.3 megabit USB 2 connection, well, yeah, you're going to be having a hard time. No wonder it's taking 8 hours, right? So what you might be limiting yourself to is not the throughput of your CPU and your code, but the throughput of the connection to the drive. So that's a good catch. Alrighty then, let's add Q and see where this takes us, shall we? So Q is a animation library. I'll see if we can get there. Yeah. See what we can do here. See how good or bad this is. Let's find out. So this is the code we were last working on. We should probably finish that off. Just thinking about it, but you know, too late for that now. Let's add Dart pub. Oops. Pub add Q. Q is already in dependencies. Oh, right. I think we were going to do this before. Let's create a new Humpday Q&A. 2026-04-2. Right. I guess, you know, so for those that haven't seen it, this is Q. It's a new composable animation framework, and apparently it's really cool. I do like some of the effects that I've been seeing with it.
Yeah.
Should we choose one of these and just try it out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can do icons dot delete. I mean, that is actually another thing that I think. Sorry, just say it. Examples should always use like the inbuilt stuff, right? No external libraries. Right, we've got a bit of depth.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I'd say as much as you can, right? I mean, like if you're showing images and stuff, obviously those should be hopefully something that's publicly available and out there, not something that you're just including a link that's was in your package, but you're not including the package for people to pull down.
Can we add GUI as well? Yeah, Lucas. So I actually tried a very long time ago to do that exact same thing, GUI metaballs, because I wanted, we were doing some UI which had buttons that popped out of another button. I wanted them to like pull the color out of the button and move as they moved out. I did metaball stuff long time ago. But obviously getting it to render fast without shaders is an entirely different problem set, and to come up with and do effectively the it was like a reverse a whole set of equations that kind of basically have to go in reverse. It really is quite difficult, and I think with the help of AI now people have been able to put it off. I forgot his name now, which we remember the last show. The guy came up with Q. Hang on a minute. This is Milad. There you go. This guy. He used some AI to come up with a package called GUI, and I don't know if he's got it on here actually. GUI. There you go. And that uses the, so for the people that don't know, metaballs is a three-dimensional concept. So this is a little graphic of it. It's a slice through a three-dimensional view of space. Would be the best way of putting it. But it comes up, you kind of get from the look of it, and if you do it right, you kind of get this kind of look of like goo. So think of like lava lamp and things like that kind of flow around.
Yeah.
But it means that when you have like buttons like this, you can have like them joined together nicely. And I always had this idea that, you know, we can have buttons in the UI, different levels of the hierarchy with an underlying renderer layer of goo. And that way, whenever the buttons moved or you animate them using the normal Flutter hierarchy, the goo would also move with it. I don't know what he's done. I'm assuming it's something like that. GUI blob is the place at the center of GUI zone, which will visually merge the other blobs and create the cohesive organic effect. There you go. So layer agnostic, which is one of the things that you can't do this in native, using the native hierarchies of like Windows, Android, iOS. They're just not capable of doing this type of thing. Not without considerable effort. And at this point, you might as well just do your own UI rendering framework, right? So this is really nice that Flutter, because of its composition-based system of layout, is that you can do this kind of thing. So yeah, so there you go. You got your GUI zone, the GUIness color, and then however you want to lay out your widgets, and inside that you're wrapping a GUI blob around whatever widget it is, and then I guess there's a base blob shape that you want to give it. In this case, a circle. That's pretty cool. Look, softness, border, rounded circle. How if you want a gradient, I have to have a look at the fragment shader briefly. This is where the magic happens, right? And this is why, you know, it's not until Flutter had shaders that this is even possible. Yeah, and here you go. Here's the type of limitation you get with shaders, right? As you can tell here, there's only 10 blobs here, so you can only do 10 blobs with the way that it's because of the way the location system works. So, but you know, it's yeah, definitely quite reasonable. I mean, this is the other problem you get with, I mean, the whole meta. You can go read up about metaballs. It's actually quite an expensive operation to perform. In this case, there's the possibility here, and I'm not sure particularly why it's done like this in here, but I'm guessing this is his way of detecting if it's that particular ball, that idea is passed in. But you have to accumulate and all of the potential overlap of every pixel of every ball. Yeah, so this is it's going to get more expensive the more metaballs that you have on the screen. Anyway, coming back to what we're actually looking at, Q. So this is the example. It seems nice, right? Look, well, it's pretty cool, right?
I dig it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a Q modal transition. Okay. Trigger builder. So float an action button. So this is the trigger point, and this is what it's building. Okay. Spring wobbly dampen 7. So we got a motion, high trigger on transition. So this whole thing is actually built in such a way for this explicit use case of having a Q point and triggering it into it, right?
Yeah.
So Q modal transition. I mean, that's nice that it's actually built on top of the main kind of barrier stuff and root navigator. So I'm assuming this is like, composite transform target, listener builder, dialog route. Yeah, nice. So they're using the actor pattern. Let's go read up a bit about this. What does it say?
Well, they use scenes.
Well, there's lots of documentation.
Yeah, they use scenes and actors, right?
Yeah. A widget that applies one or more animation acts to its child. An actor is a core visual building block of the Q animations. It wraps a child widget with a list of acts, declaring descriptions of how the widget should look at different points in the animation. Actor is passive. It does not trigger or control animation on its own. All animation progress is driven externally by the nearest ancestor Q widget, which exposes a Q scope via inherited widget. Actor reads that scope and reacts to it. Without an ancestor Q, an actor has no effect. Okay, so Q on toggle, fade up, fade down. So I like that. Like if there's when we use this Q modal here, but if you had so on change. Oh, that's nice. So on a value change, on focus change, on hover, on mount. So when something's when a widget's added to the UI and when it's removed from the UI, it's really nice. Progress. I guess it's more like a function that reports the progress of something, so you can show that it's slowly grow, like a progress bar and whatnot. Scroll visible. That's nice that these are also built in, right? So you can just wrap your widget with scroll visible, and when it becomes visible, it performs the animation, right? On toggle. Yeah, these are really helpful. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you want, right, in an animation system. These are the kind of things that definitely you just want to be able to plug straight into your app and not have to deal with all the minutiae that goes around making something, animate when it becomes visible on a scroll bar, for example, on a scrolling view, for example. And basically, he's handling, gets the scrollable, gets its position, track visibility. So this is all the stuff you would have to do normally, right? And it's like wrapped up, and then even based on that, it then works out, okay, here's the progress through that, how visible it is on the screen. That's super nice. We should see if we can try that one, actually. Okay. So we have motion. Motion controls the timing and easing of all the acts. Within this actor, the resolution order is individual acts specify its own motion. Otherwise, actor use the motion of the default acts all motions. Otherwise, motion is null, inherits it. Standard stuff like a theme. Motion reversal. Same rule, but independently. So that's kind of, so by default, it applies to both forward and reverse, but then obviously you can then override the reverse and have different timings and animations for the forward and reverse animation. So let's go back to, so in this case, we've got two acts here. Why have I not got? Oh, it's only one. Okay, so we've got one to translate. Okay, and we could do like fade in.
Yeah, down below, there's an actor that has 2 acts.
Oh, so you can nest them as well. Oh, I see. Look, actor, fade in, scale, blur.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super nice. I see. Okay, so sorry, I'm trying to. What is going on here? My hotkeys are not doing what they should be doing. I've broken something.
I'm 100%
that's why.
using this in my
I broke
desktop.
something. That's why it's not working. There we go.
This is cool.
So yeah, okay. So you can nest them.
Yep.
Yeah, look, sized clip. This is always a common one that people don't know how to do with normal widgets as well. It's nice that it's like that. Scale blur. It's really impactful, actually. Just that kind of notion of bringing it in. I think that this is the kind of thing that I'd say this should be brought into Flutter, right? This is the type of system that circular clip, rotate, T3D. Oh, nice. So you can rotate. You're not just stuck in a certain scheme of rotation, right? Degrees, radians, or turns. Nice. Skew. Oh, that's cool. It'll animate text style, icon theme. So, okay, so you got transform. You got all the usual stuff. Decorate. Any one of the decoration parameters. Decorate a box. Okay. How are these acts put together? Tween act, matrix 4. Perfect. So you even got a custom model or you got a custom type. You can just, it's a tween act, just like tweens in Flutter themselves. And, you implement the transform function and that's it, boom, you're away. So in this case, this wraps a matrix 4 for its transform. And create single tween, sure. Animation builder for apply. Cool. So you can take advantage of the built-in widgets. I mean, that is super nice and simple, right? Like it's that separation of cause and effect, right? Kind of tint, backdrop, blur, unfocus, focus, blur, padding, alignment, fade in, fade out, opacity, slide from trailing, slide from leading. Nice. Slide down, slide up, slide Y, slide X. Slide.
Everybody clap your hands.
Translate from global key. Translate from so that they are super powerful. This is how you can get your hero animations working. But it's really nice that you don't have to think about what rectangle it is in the calculator. I think it'll just use a global key and it'll go find the position of that on the screen and do the translation for you. That is exactly what. There's so many times I've done this and had to do it manually. Like, so to have that as a built-in widget and system that does that, that's perfect. Yeah, find render. Find the render box for it, local to global. This is the usual stuff that you do in Flutter, right? Like if you're using the render system. That's nice. What else we got here? Translate from global, translate. Parallax. Nice. Translate. Fractional size, again, nice. Stretch. That could be nice. Zoom in, zoom out, scale. That is a lot of animation effects that you can just like overlay and mix and match and put together. That's super powerful. I wonder I think that when we come back to like the examples we were just looking at, the fact of the matter is like there's a reason why you can do all these kind of cool effects, right?
Yep. As long as I can have different colors and scroll my text on the screen in Flash, that's all that I need.
Hey,
yeah. As long as I can just give someone an epileptic fit, it's no problem.
I'm old enough to remember when the blink tag was something you could do in HTML, and we need to bring the blink tag back. That's my whole TED talk. So,
I gotta
guys,
drop.
I need to hop off. Yeah, I have a meeting that I have to get to in like 2 minutes. So thanks for coming. Thanks for having me on, guys. I'm gonna hop off. I'll see you guys later.
Yep.
Okay.
See you.
Right, and then there was 2.
Yeah. And we're probably almost needing to wrap as well anyway.
Are you heading off, Matt? Did you say? Oh, yeah, he's off.
Yep.
Well, I think we might as well wrap up then. On the point of what we're just talking about, where are we? Oh, there was something actually mentioned come up here. Do you think HTML in canvas could be part of underlying Flutter implementation for the web? That would address several limitations, particularly. Okay, you can already do this, right? So you can still build HTML widgets, and they're just like on top. They're just like same as any platform view, right? There's actually there's HTML Flutter HTML element or something like that. What's that? It's built in, right, for exactly that reason. I would say though that it wouldn't necessarily bring in sort of any fix around accessibility. They're already fixing accessibility in web using the correct way of doing it. The idea of like the original version of Flutter for web was just that. It was just the HTML tags, right? That had its own set of problems, right? And I think it's just a difficult problem to solve in case of all of the way that Flutter works, given the way that Flutter works and the paradigm of I wanted to render the same on web as it would do on mobile or whatever else like that, then yeah, you're going to get those kind of problems. So we end up with rendering on canvas, but then any of the other things have to be done on top of that, which is basically how it works on the other platforms. So I think it kind of works in that sense, the way that Flutter it's expected to work almost, right? SEO is a solved problem. It never was a problem, really. I think people out of the box just kind of expect everything to work for everyone, for every use case. SEO is always something that has been solvable in the sense of, server-side rendered content, and you can go check out whatever HTML tags that you want for the search engines to use, right? The other one is again, like it's the difference between am I trying to build a web app? Am I trying to build a website, right? Am I trying to build something that's like, here's the documentation, so I want people to consume content and everything else, then I would be doing that in Jasper, right? So I'm still taking advantage of Dart and the knowledge I've got from that and potentially in the shared code, but actually the output is a website, right? All right, let's quickly answer these last few points and then we'll wrap up. Reading about WASM, apparently browsers in iOS and Firefox are currently not compatible with WASM. Any information on the video? Well, sadly, we don't work for Firefox or iOS, so we couldn't tell you. And any information you can find online is what we would be finding. So I'm not sure we've got anything for you on that side of it. Mm-hmm. But the difference here is when you build for WASM, you're also building JavaScript as well. The idea being that if it's not WASM compatible, it will use the JavaScript version. So you should be fine. It just won't be as performant as it would be if it was the WASM version. And this is always the way of web. Web is just a fragmented system. Not necessarily a bad thing, right? Because it introduces competitiveness and like there was a proportion. I don't know if most people. Well, it depends on how old you are, but I think both me and John here lived through this. But when the world was dominated by Internet Explorer, and it had a whole set of problems of its own and legacy of its own.
Yep.
And then along came the other providers, right? So along came Firefox, then along came, you know, Chrome and Opera and these things. Suddenly, there was a massive competition about who can implement the standards the best, who can pass all the acid tests, who can get. And suddenly, we had some really great browsers doing really great things, matching the standards exactly, you know. And suddenly, it wasn't a task of trying to make a website that would just function. No, you made a website that was actually, it was fun to build a website and interesting to build a website, as well as actually to see it and use it was actually more performant than ever before.
Yeah. We didn't have all these if-def defines, right? Of like, well, if you're on Internet Explorer 3 through 5, do this.
There were some weird, wacky things you would do in comments as well, because the comments would have like be read by a certain browser, not by another browser, or this kind of like, there was always kind of weird things where you'd have to structure your syntax of your page a certain way so it would work on all the browsers. It's like nuts, absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that time, the reason why Internet Explorer went the way of the dinosaur is because it didn't keep up with that.
Yeah.
And then not just on top of that, it was a kind of a case of it was people just left it behind. People left it behind because it's like, I'm not going to build for Internet Explorer anymore because it just breaks on me all the time. It doesn't work.
Yep.
I'm not going to put my effort and time into that when Firefox is there. And I like that time, it literally was with Firefox, Chrome, Opera, and all that kind of stuff when the first alternatives to Internet Explorer came out. They were so much better, and they did everything Internet Explorer did. It's like, well, you should just use Firefox. You should just use Opera or whatever it was. There's so much promotion from word of mouth just to get other people using other browsers that, you know, it died. It died. It dead.
Yep.
It never recovered, even with Edge.
Yeah. Even though Edge is just Chromium with a wrapper around it.
It's still, but I literally, what was it Randall was saying the other day? He was trying to use this site like StreamYard, and it was way worse on Edge than it was on Chrome.
Well, but I think so. It's hard to say without looking at it, but I've seen some of that, and sometimes it's not Edge. It's that they've built their site to do things different if it's Edge versus if it's Chrome, even though it would work exactly the same if they just took the checkout, right? But
yeah, I mean, like,
sometimes Edge.
It's also funny that you have Apple WebKit or whatever it is in the user agent for Chrome. Because it's built on WebKit, right? That was the original like code base. So that's how you make it compatible, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, right. Thank you all for joining us. And hopefully you had a good day. We've answered your questions and you had fun. Happy to do. If you have any topics, it'd be really helpful for if you want to drive. So we're trying to like push the channel and what we're doing here, Humpday, in new directions, right? We don't want people just. It's very hard. We've been talking about this behind the scenes about like the watch back of the show. Having it live, fine. Like watching us now, it works. But having someone watch back the 2-hour show, it's not practical, right? We're talking about doing some clips and shorts and things like that can work for promotion. But I think like it'd be nice for us to have topics of discussion, right? So if we can do a show that's all about animation, then we can have an animation-based show. And I think everyone would learn something about animation. We can like look into these different packages, explain how animation works, stuff like that. And we could take these themes and do different shows on different topics. We've also we've got an open call, almost got an open call sheet for any number of guests to come on the show from around the Flutter community and the Flutter team and all sorts. So, you know, it'd be really nice to hear from you. So reach out on the best places on the Flutter community Twitter account. So reach out there and at us, Flutter community, and hashtag Humpday Q&A, and we can pick those up and we can go look at them, and that can hopefully lead us into areas of the show which we want you to enjoy. So hopefully that helps. I was ranting there, but give us your feedback, even leave in the comments below this very video, and we can then take the show into new directions.
Yeah, we're definitely trying to do a lot of stuff. It all happens slowly, but we'll get there.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Same time, same place next week.
Yeah, sounds good.
Bye for now.